Welcome to Legal Matters. We are back. As soon as you join us, share the program for us. That's right. As soon as you join us, share the program for us. Mr. Michael Amma, good morning to you. Mr. PC, we greet you this morning. We thank you all for your prayers, for your advices, for thinking about us. This song is for you all. Mr. Daniel Boa, good morning to you. Mr. Kweku Eden Bansa, I greet you this morning. Yes. West Midlands, we greet you all this morning. We are back again. Mr. Charles Emery, good morning to you and thank you for joining us. I know you have sent a request, but I don't know how to operate this. Yes, we are back. I went small to vim myself. Be ready for this week. Be ready for today. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be brutal. Today, as soon as you join us, share the program. This is the Legal Matters, bringing you the undiluted legal advice from the camp of King David, justice and law solicitors. Yes, this song goes for everybody. Mr. Positive, you are listening. Humble request from Mr. Positive. Well, he said he would like to take this opportunity to thank you all well wishers for your support and also your prayers. His mother died exactly a year today. You all came to show love. You all came to show your respects. Even those that he did not get the chance to invite, because they have a clean conscience and a clean mind. Despite the fact that they were not officially invited, but as soon as they heard about his predicament, they came to show their support and love. For that reason, all that he can say, all that he can do is to say thank you. See, anybody idea was saying you are and penny was say obi mpe wasema or to won yum pona so bon hwrema when you watch na no sasu na so bi mpe wasem no mpe wo yi a se osampona se obi a e kan fo se aseye fa ono de osasasa ni mpa wochia ne pa sana etie ewo ewiase mu enti se obi eye adie bi ma o na se wo wadi pai bia fama no wo asempa bia kama no enti Mr. Positive say me na obi biara ase ema no. We thank you all exactly a year today that his mother kicked the bucket. But with your support, with your prayers, with your encouragement, it has been bearable. He's been able to come. And he thanks his Lord for all your support. Mr. Tebri, good morning to you, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. Yes, last week we could not make it. I was shattered. I needed a break. And I thank you for your understanding. We are back today. So share the program for us. What are we talking about today? One share a day. Keep ignorance away. So let's share the program. Let's go everywhere. Let's fire. Let's educate. Education, education, and education kills ignorance. Education impurifies the brain. Education, get rid of stigma. Education, get rid of prejudice. Education enhances. Education leads to prosperity. Education put ignorance to shame. Education put stereotype, stigma, racism, isms, and passisms away. Let's all play our part. Let's educate each other. If you want to prosper as people, if you want to make progress as people, it all starts from the head, from the brain. If the brain doesn't work, the body suffers. So you and I, we have to take it upon ourselves to educate, empower people around us, and it will make our life easy. It will make our life easy. Because if you are going up, don't look down upon your brother. If God is lifting you, anyone around you, try and lift them as well. Why do you have to do that? Because in life you never know. When one door is closed, another door is open. The very people that you meet when you are going up are the very people that you will meet when you are going down. So let's say I help Pastor Owen get to this level and say I am at this level. So something happens to me, I am falling. And Pastor Owen see me falling. What do you think is going to happen? He will give me a helping hand. So at least, instead of going down, I will end up being on the same level as him. In economics, we call it the state of equilibrium. So when people are around you, God is lifting you, God is blessing you, you help them to come up as well. Because you never know when you begin to fall. You never know who is going to catch you to make sure that you don't hit the bottomless pit. Obi bibi smawa na wakai. Se obi mpo esa ensuo mawa na wakai. Se obi say na daje 1 minute of his time mawa na wakai. There are certain things that money cannot buy. There are certain things that pride cannot buy. There are certain things that arrogance cannot buy. Time, respect, dignity. Yes, these are the things that you cannot buy. You cannot afford it. If you are richer than me, I am poorer than you. Show me respect, and I will show you respect. That is the world that we live in. And to be idea, now my idea, oh, I hear you now with your kind of thing. I don't think I Mr. Positive. Or say, and or be Biara, or the time cheap. And my dear, my dear, and then Jay, or the Nasi and Mamma, or the Ayayi Mamma, Mama boat all the way from Reading, travel through the dark. just to be at the funeral and show respect. Mami Boatema, all the way from Hackney, travel all the way down to show respect. King David, all the way from Bonham Wood, travel all the way to show respect. Mr. Eric Moore, all the way from Quayle to show respect, and many, many, many more. Respect to you all, and we thank you all. We thank God for your lives. Nyankopon inshira munyina. Na ene edebe na yede ebre wone. Esen bebre esi for the past 2 weeks. And sometimes people say, how do you know what topic to do? I don't go searching for the topics. The topics comes to me. And from life experiences and what people are experiencing, I am able, it directs me to the topic that I need to treat. And today, what are we going to be talking about? Today, we are going to be talking about how to write or argue persuasively in law, in immigration. Sometimes, maybe out of ignorance, and sometimes out of arrogance. Sometimes people think they know more than what they do. And as a result, they fall. And when they are on the ground, that is where they attempt to seek legal advice. In some cases, it may be too late. This week, I had a telephone call from a lady. And I'm just going to give you a brief, what has encouraged me to do one of the topics today, and the doctrine of sole responsibility. Someone gave my number to this lady, and the lady called the office. And she said something that she must never have said, which for me, it was a red flag. I had to basically stay away from the case. I can understand her frustration, but that does not mean you have to go or thinking about breaking the law and getting a lawyer involved in doing so. Because we all have to respect the law. So if you go to any lawyer and you tell the lawyer, I'm going to break the law to get my way, conflict of interest. As a lawyer, I am an officer of the Supreme Court of England and Wales. And therefore, as part of my commitment to the law and also to the profession, I have to respect the law just like any other body or any other person. And therefore, if someone spits it to you direct that I am frustrated, I have done application 5 times. I've gone through different lawyers. I've spent a lot of money. I am trying to get my child into the UK. My applications get rejected. And I have been applying for the past, say, 8 years, 9 years. And I have been unsuccessful. I am fed up in following the rules, which is not helping me to achieve my goal. And in fact, I am prepared to break the law in order to get my child into the country. Justice and law solicitors, Lawyer Darko, we will not accept that kind of view. We will not get ourselves involved in breaking the law. And on that occasion, on this occasion, I had to stay away from the case because she has made it very, very clear that I will do whatever it takes to bring my child into the country, including using any other means apart from the legal route. This gave me, something to be concerned about. You understand? Because at the end of the day, I am not bigger than the law. Even the Prime Minister of this country is not bigger than the law. And if you break the law, you face the consequences. And as we know, the Prime Minister, he broke the law. And we all know what happened to him. He has lost his job as a result, directly or indirectly. So these are the things that we all have to learn. We all have to be aware of such things. So on this occasion, I couldn't help. And the reason why his son's application gets rejected all the time is the principle of sole responsibility. And sometimes, the problem that we have is that within our communities, sometimes when people get to know a little bit, they think they know it all. Instead of just listening to the professional, they think they know it all, so they can do things by themselves or do it anyhow. And then when application gets rejected, then all of a sudden it's everyone else's fault apart from themselves. So it's very, very important that we understand what we mean by the principles of sole responsibility. What is more important is that you cannot compare your case to somebody's case, because I'm going to give some case laws and examples of cases that has gone before the court where the court have indicated that such a behavior or such a scenario amounts to sole responsibility. Whilst you can have a very similar case, similar, background, similar issues, one case the court will say yes, the other case the court will say no. That is the reason why I always tell people, never compare yourself to anyone. You cannot tell me why is it that Kwejo and Yao have submitted the application to the Home Office, for example, on the same date, and therefore you think common sense application that since it went on the same day, they must receive a decision the same day. It does not work that way, because life, all these fingers, they are not the same. They are called fingers. So this is something that we need to understand. We cannot compare ourselves to anybody. I always say this. Life, everyone is got their own. Everyone is got their own, if you like, their own path. Everyone is got their own destiny. You see, so when someone is at a certain point, or when something happens to someone, you cannot question as to why it's not happening to you, because everyone is got their own destiny, and God has got different paths for different people. That is the reason why we have different names. That is the reason why we were all not born on the same date at the same time by the same parents. Sometimes you can have even twins in the same belly at the same time, relatively born on the same day, the same time. But when they are out of their mother's womb, you will see that each one of them have got their own character, their own characteristics, their own do's and don'ts. So it's very important that we do not assume that what should, when something good happens to someone, the same thing must happen to us. When we submit our applications at the same time, we might get decisions at the same time. It's never like that. And I will tell you this. This week has been a fantastic week. God has been a blessing to us. Our office. Last week too, I was able to take some time out. I had a good rest. So now I'm coming here with full vim. So today, what is coming our way is going to be Fanta Brutal. I know that a lot of people will also benefit from today's program. Today, we will be talking about the new private life route. The new private life route. If you have a child in this country in particular, and you are going to make an application for the child, there are certain things that you need to also take into consideration. And in some cases, you may have to separate your application from the child's application. Rather than applying with the child as your dependent, it may be a good idea for the child to apply under the private life route. Why is that the case? Why am I saying what I'm saying? because it will save you, the parent, money. Instead of the 10 years normal route, in fact, the child can go through the 5-year route, and the child will be able to have access to public funds and so on and so forth. You know, I always say this, God has been good to me this week. God has been good to me all the time. And this week in particular, I did a case for a young child or a young lady. And the route that I took was a guaranteed route, you see. I was trying to play safe. That God being so good, when the application was put in, the caseworker, surprisingly, how busy the home office is, took time to call me and said, Mr. Darko, I've got this application here. I understand, you know, the logic of playing safe and going down that route. I am the caseworker for this case. I have had a look at your presentation. You see, this is the key. That's the reason why today we will also talk about persuasive writing, especially when it comes to immigration. If you are not trained on this field, please allow people to go and see their lawyers for them to do a good job for them. Rather than being like Ajiman. When someone is going to see a lawyer, you yourself, you've been through a lawyer, but yet you are advising someone not to go through a lawyer. Sometimes the question that I ask myself is, you the recipient? If someone is giving you this advice, and the person himself or herself has actually gone to see a lawyer to sort him or herself out, and he's telling you not to go, and you are listening, sometimes it baffles me. You don't wait until it goes wrong. You don't wait until your back is against the wall before you start rushing, calling lawyers at 11 p.m. And when they are unable to pick, you get frustrated because they are not picking your phone calls. One thing that we need to realize is that lawyers don't sit there waiting for your phone calls. They've also got life. And therefore, if you don't come to them, they will also use their time to do other things that will benefit them, their family, and those who come to them. And therefore, it's important that we don't wait until it hit the fan before you run for a cover. It's important that you actually seek the advice from the outset so that you don't mess up before you start panicking. It's very, very important. And those people who have no knowledge or maybe little knowledge about something, but talking up and bigging up themselves that they know more than what they know, you are not doing the person a favor. You are leading the person to his grave or her grave, and in the end, it's not going to help the person. So if you really want to help someone, either you know exactly what you are talking about or you know what you are doing. In that case, by all means, the person may be able to save money if you are competent in what you are saying, if you are trained in what you are saying, if you are 100% sure in what you are saying, and you are advising someone, then that is fair enough. But mind you, when it goes wrong, the person is not going to leave you in peace. The person will shred you into pieces. So sometimes the CC faces that we do, sometimes we think we are trying to impress someone. If you are not lucky, you are going to mess someone's life. And it's not only that person, it's also going to perhaps affect a lot of people that also depend on the person. So we have to be very, very careful, especially when it comes to immigration and nationality. Because immigration and nationality is do and die. It's about life and death. Some people, their family rely on them. If their people get messed up, those people back home, how are they going to survive? So the little pride or the little arrogance that you want to show to the person, you could end up actually stopping the person from feeding his or her family. Cases have come before me this week, and that is exactly what has happened. I do remember one lady came to me, I gave the person advice, I printed out the list of documents that I would need in order to do a successful application for this lady, trying to bring his son from Ghana to the UK. She happened to speak to a neighbor. Oh, don't worry, I have brought my son, I know what I'm doing. Don't go and waste your money on a lawyer. Wow, I didn't know that lawyer's office or lawyers are ballers, so where you can just dump money. In the end, the lady was convinced. Listen to this neighbor. Went ahead, the neighbor did the application. Even the very documentation that I wrote, the gentleman said that this is not important, that it's not important. The application was put in, the application was rejected. For the very reason, for the very documents that I wrote that the gentleman told him to take out are the very documents that was not included, and basically that formed the basis of the refusal. In the end, they had a bit of an argument, they had a fight, they don't talk to each other. Because the gentleman did not know what he was doing. But yet, he wanted to impress this lady as if he knows what he was doing. In the end, he has lost friendship. Or because of what? Because of arrogance, to know. Pretending that I know, but yet you don't know. You know, these are some of the problems. And when it hits the fan, they come to us. When the damage is done, you come to us for us to fix the damage. But one thing that people must realize, when the case is going through the court, it costs a lot of money than actually the lawyer putting in an application. But it's up to the individual. If you mess it up and you come to a lawyer to go and see any lawyer, the lawyer will do their best for you, but you're going to pay, and you're going to pay big. Because at the end of the day, when a damage is done, you have to repair the damage before you can build. How do we do that? You can do the right thing by avoiding this. And how do you avoid this? By seeking advice from the right places from day one, so that you don't become a victim to this kind of scenarios. You know, so it does happen almost every day. We come across cases like that all the time. And sometimes, you know, you ask yourself, why do we make it difficult for ourselves before going to the right places to seek the right advice? Unfortunately, some people will learn, some people will never learn. It's a reality of life, and sometimes not much that you can do. But like they say, those who have ears will listen, and those who don't want to listen will not hear, they will not listen, and they will continue to do whatever they want to do. But there is always a price to pay when it goes wrong, and no lawyer will take sympathy on anyone who has embarked on such, you know, action. Because once a case becomes difficult, it takes more time, it takes more resources to be able to put it right. It's for this reason that when you go and see any lawyer to do an appeal, you don't pay hundreds of pounds. Instead, you pay thousands of pounds. Yes, I'm not saying that you go to a lawyer and all your problem will be solved. Sometimes you go and see a lawyer and the lawyer will do his best. Home Office, for one reason or the other, may still decide, may choose to refuse the application. In such scenarios, because the lawyer has been involved from day one, the lawyer will be more sympathetic and in some cases reduce the fees to the bare minimum and do his best to fight for you so that you can achieve justice. So it's very, very important that we understand this concept, and also persuasive writing. Because many a times people say, oh, but you can do it yourself, you don't need to see a lawyer. Once we go through persuasive writing and the skill and the requirement, what is needed in order to persuade the Home Office, maybe you will understand me more whilst, you know, we go through this particular topic. So now, where do we start? I think it's important that I explain this concept of sole responsibility quickly before I go to the main topic of today. Whilst I'm talking, as you can see, I'm also sharing the programs so that people can join us, because sometimes some people still find it difficult. They are not, you know, very good with this new technology, and as a result, they struggle. But when you send them the link, all that they have to do is to press it, and straight away they are in and they can join us. That is the reason why my head is down, my head is low. I'm watching and doing the best that I can, speaking and sharing the program as well. So bear with me whilst I make sure that all those on my list, they also receive the program so that they can also enjoy and learn something from today's topic. Right. Soul responsibility is interesting. Let's look at the history of soul responsibility. And I think we can all learn a lot from this. Now, let's go back to history. I'm basically reading from the Immigration, Nationality, and Refugee Law Handbook by JCWI. JCWI is Joint Council for the Welfare of Immigrants. Their book, and is at page 374. I am reading it so that no one can accuse me of making it up. So let's see what it says. The sole responsibility rule. The sole responsibility rule was first introduced in the United Kingdom in 1969. The government's stated intention was to prevent the growth of all male Pakistani families, where men who had come to work in the UK were sending for their sons, but not their wives and daughters. And it was felt that this was not in the best interest of the children. The result was that families applied to come to the UK. You see, so technically, the whole idea of sole responsibility was to stop Pakistani men who came to the United Kingdom around 1969. Who came to the United Kingdom in 1969, to stop them from... All right, bear with me, someone is knocking on my door. Let me see who this person is. Right, so let's continue the program. Sorry about this. So basically, the doctrine of sole responsibility, UK are buying at the buy, said the year a best topo Pakistani. Now, Omumemano, you say after the Second World War, 1939-1945. Now, Ekrumwa ehia workers into omoto omani edishare Commonwealth countries such as Ghana, Pakistan, India, and so on and so forth, for men to come here and work. Now, you say baby aso abema beku bia aso no na e wo say Nigeria anase nikunu edi nechi. Na eba ne sa no na akoye se Pakistan for no omo ma family members abeka omo ho a na omuma mema nkwa na omye de oma omo eba na ebia omo ejerenom ene omuma ma no omo de omo Pakistan na aban ne yana dwene se e wo so introduce bibi na estopo sa ade no enti na omo introduce the doctrine of sole responsibility. The whole idea is say you will be forced to bring your wife and other family members. The reason is say you must have sole responsibility. I was say uprove say onkwa na ohwe obano. Enti se wo yere aka Pakistan na se ono obane neti na pese oba bema ne ebe UK a you be refuse application you know. Enti se be refuse you are indirectly forced to bring your wife and your daughter as well as your son. Na chese enono indirectly no. And ma wo be man no so family de eba hanum. So family ba hanum e de me be that means say e bia onkofa obi ofiri kromu a. Enti no skeptically no you could argue. As say be ma be kromu na yire nka ne ho a. E de no be e de na me kromu ye de e ma ensa. Eni chacha. Sana ebi moka. Enti na eba ne sa no omuma introduce the principle of sole responsibility. Enti eba ne sa no ana oma de omo introduce ye na chese okofo obi aba na chese e wose utimi ede oma ene wojire eka ho eba. Na sole responsibility edi enya o kromu apa. Mami ofrema na ni abre a wokasa kasa bebre yi. Menini di nkomo kakra bi no. What tried 5 times to bring his children, her children. All the time it has been refused on the basis of sole responsibility. And under British immigration law, many people or many at times from experience cases that I have seen, when people do an application to bring their children into this country, 9 out of 10, whenever application is rejected, the Secretary of State is able to invoke the principle of sole responsibility or the doctrine of sole responsibility to justify refusal of such applications. And as a result, if you do not understand the concept of sole responsibility, you will do application million times and application will be refused million times. The question that I believe people are asking themselves or asking me is, how do you conquer sole responsibility? How do you overcome sole responsibility? The name as it suggests, sole means one. Mame anase papa a wo kromu ano. Ese uprove say so kita indefinite leave, so kita British passport, so ukita pre-settlement scheme, na opese ukofa wo ba eba. Na se bema na oni na wari anase bema oni nete ho no. Se enye oba no papa anase oba ne maame a. Anase wa umpo na wote ho anakwakofa wo ba ba. E wo se uprove se wan kasa no o sole responsibility over the child. Because when you prove say o sole responsibility over the child, the application is doomed to fail. And you know, very, very, very important. I say, you better sadi way as I did a better say. I was at yet in the sense that, Emrani say, se mame and I say papa, se one akrano na eti country na mufri so na. Enya mame ne papa no, se de ya wotimi ahwe akrano no. Wotimi ekoso ehwe akra no in that country enti adenti na e was over UK. That is the argument that the Home Office will put forward. Enti very important. Se unkofa baba na nya wo nkwa na wo hwe na application no, it will not be successful. If it creates or the evidence give indication as you share responsibility with either a family member or with the other parent, the application will be refused. Don't say why. Na semi na mediska ko, we diska ko is not enough. Because case laws have shown to us that in order to succeed in sole responsibility, you need to prove say financially when I share akrano. In terms of education, baby akranical school, paying or school fees, arranging classes, and so on and so forth. You, the parents, now work room one, or now we are responsible. In terms of akrani religion, I'm sorry, I will call any excursions, any calling the church to find out what is happening, or that you need to demonstrate that you are the one, the parent, making the decisions. In terms of health, akrani yare, nyasa oko hospital, and also baby awoko, you need to prove say, wana oyede utria hospital fees, and so on and so forth. Say your money treatment in part, you are consulted, you are the one making decisions. And it's sole responsibility, the doctrine is say, you need to demonstrate, say, you are the parent with sole responsibility. You make all the major decisions in the child's life. And it's very, very important. Now, most of the time people say that, but madam forbid the money, but I didn't make the young farm mommy. Edu baby na obi de kwa edu bi e bolo ye bi. Enso obusa nipa ne se. Ede na kire se wona wo hwe oba. Prove se wona wo hwe oba no. Onkwa na wo hwe no. Kwaji doctor's letter, kwaji GP letter, kwaji church letter, kwaji school letter, kwaji custody order or parental responsibility order from the court. Ni nipa ne ko kwa apai. Adeya oh, media stressful dodo. Adeya, le adakon die, wo yen bibia by book dodo, and I walk no akotwe list tin, and I see ye wing, media my fed up. Lawyer bu echira, or so betting ya mammy, we who here, blah 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 blah. Enipa na akona ye de swana. No asa dan ni asaba. Hey, lawyer, what can you? Somebody come with bo, and a madam Fibina, or so in lawyer be, and a lawyer be a mano, and a medical ye, and a anye ye, as my can ye, and a bemono, ye a radie, Muya committee was him, media yammy fort, and madam for the cream acquainted, madam for the fault. At the end of the day, it's your money. You pay the money to the lawyer, you come to the Adakon, it's not going to be free. I will also charge for my service. Madam for the Wakado Becca, say I'm pamponia. At the end of the day, you have to face the reality. And to be too for Busa who say a foot to the Nipanade man, does it make sense? And you're very important because these are occurrences. These are things that happen all the time. I remember say case be by meaning. My many brother I'm say Oba birth certificate. The date of issue and the date of registration of birth is more than 1 year. Say come home office for omo anye birth certificate into enti kebe ya koye DNA ka ho. Na down for ne buy na onwenwe. I could see onwenwe question what I was saying. In the end, me too many people say you came to me for an advice. You want me to do your case as a legal advisor? I can only give you my best professional opinion. Either you listen to lawyer number 2, who is your friend. He has managed to get his children into the country. Or you listen to me as a professional. In the end, she decided to listen to his friend. All that I did was to get her to sign a disclaimer that I have advised her against proceeding until DNA evidence is added. But she has decided to take the risk herself, and if there is a refusal on the basis of the birth certificate, she will not blame me. I wrote it, I wrote a disclaimer, and she signed it. Hold and behold, I did what I could. Application was put in, application was refused because the Home Office did not believe the relationship between the applicant and the sponsor. At that point, she was able to find the money to do DNA. At that point, she was able to find money to pay me thousands of pounds to appeal against the decision. Even though we succeeded. The case going through the court took another 1.5 years to resolve the situation. and for the child to come to this country. So sometimes what they say is that you can force a horse to the riverside, but you cannot force it to drink. As a lawyer, I had to cover myself. Self-preservation must always come first. So the doctrine of sole responsibility is a tough one. And all that I say to people is don't listen to what ordinary person is saying about sole responsibility. Because the concept of sole responsibility is not defined anywhere. And we, even lawyers, we have to go through case laws to work out what the judges meant or their interpretation of sole responsibility. Now let's look at some case laws. Maybe this will help you to understand me better. There has been so many cases that has gone before the court about the sole responsibility issue. And currently the leading case is called TD Yemen. TD Yemen. And the court have set out some guidelines. And the court have referred to some famous cases where the judges concluded that there was sole responsibility. And there have been cases when the judges have said there is no sole responsibility and the appeals did not succeed. So, let's look at the case of Rudolph. In this case, the Immigration Appeal Tribunal considered what should be provided in order for a child to qualify under this rule. You hear me now? Listen. In the case of Rudolph, the Immigration Appeal Tribunal considered what should be proved in order for a child to qualify under this rule. So that means when they were even making the law, they simply say sole responsibility. There was no definition on what must be proved in order to establish sole responsibility. So the first case, that test case, was the case of Rudolph, where the court made the following pronouncement. The court said, we need therefore to be satisfied not only that essential financial support was provided by Mrs. Rudolph, but also that she was regularly consulted about and expressed a continuing and positive concern for the child. You see the story now. You see the test. Financial support alone is not sufficient. So if you are living here and you think your child is living in Barbados, your child is living in the Republic of Gambia, your child is living in the Republic of Benin, and you transfer money to your child for his upkeep, that is enough, you are joking. The case of Rudolph makes it very, very clear. The financial support alone is not enough. But instead, there have to be what? A continuation and positive concern about the child, expression, and also consultation. You need to tell what should be done for the child. You need to be consulted about the child's life and the direction that the carer is taking in bringing up the child on your behalf. So the key in the case of Yemen is having control and directions. That is the key. Control and directions. You must have control how the child is brought up. In terms of where the child resides, treatment at the hospital, which schools that the child attends, even which religion, which church that the child also attend. You as the parent of responsibility, you have to be able to evidence this. So in the case of Rudolph, that was what the Immigration and Appeal Tribunal said. Now, we go also to the case of Ramos, which is also a famous case, a second case. This case gave further guidance on sole responsibility. And this is a case, a Filipino mother abandoned her husband. She left her daughter with her own mother. That means the child's grandmother. When she came to the UK to work to support them. The child's aunt and uncle lived nearby. The girl was not allowed to come to join her mother. Why? Because it was stated as follows in the tribunal. Obviously, there are matters of day-to-day decision-making in the upbringing of a child which are bound to be decided on the spot by whoever is looking after the child in the absence of the parents settled in the UK, such as getting the child to school safely and on time, or putting the child to bed, and so forth. The court said that in the present case, it is not in doubt that the money was provided by the mother here to support the child, and indeed the grandmother. But that again is not per se conclusive of sole responsibility. The suggestion is, of course, not that the father has had any responsibility or that the mother has abandoned all responsibility, but that the true conclusion on the fact is that responsibility has been shared between the mother and the grandmother, and possibly also the uncle and the aunt. So it is very, very risky where you have too many hands in the soup. When you are cooking and you have too many different spices, you will end up messing up the soup. So sometimes simplicity is the best policy. It's important. This is a case, the case of Ramos. The mother was sending money, all right. But on the fact of that particular case, the court concluded that the grandmother was also involved, and therefore the mother was sharing responsibility with the grandmother and possibly the aunt and the uncle, and on that basis the application did not succeed. It is for this reason that you cannot compare your case to anyone. The name of the game is evidence. If you don't provide quality evidence, forget it. Forget it. You are going to find yourself in a mess, in a pickle. Now, Home Office have given guidelines in relation to sole responsibility. And this is what the Home Office is saying. In order for them to conclude that there is a sole responsibility, they will look at the following factors, and it's crucial. The period the parent in the UK has been separated from the child. So Home Office will look at you, the applicant. How long have you separated from the child? What attempt have you made in the past to try to bring the child? It's important. 2, the previous arrangement for the care of the child prior to the parent coming to the UK. It is for this reason that I've been advising my clients that if you are coming to join your husband and there is a child involved, and you are leaving the child behind for a family member to care for the child on your behalf, it is important either you have some sort of agreement in place. That all that you say is that you are appointing the grandmother as a carer to your child. It's very important. In the document or in the affidavit, or perhaps go and have some sort of agreement in place. On the face of the agreement, make it very, very clear that your grandmother or the child's grandmother is stepping in as a carer, not as a guardian, not as a parent, not as nothing but a carer. The arrangement is temporary. She has, step forward to provide caring responsibilities. That is it. All that you need is someone to care for the child and provide day-to-day care to the child, i.e. taking the child to school for you, i.e. bathing the child for you, i.e. going to parents' evening on your behalf. There mustn't be any evidence that may suggest that the grandparent is sharing responsibility. The grandparent should not be put forward as if she's the one making decisions for the child. It's got to be very, very clear in your representation. It's got to be very, very clear in your documentations that your mother or the child's grandmother is a carer. She's stepping to provide care. It's very, very important. Thirdly, who has day-to-day care and control of the child since the sponsor came to the UK? Whilst your mother may have day-to-day care, you must be in control of that care. You have to be telling your mother what to do. If your mother is going to do anything concerning the child, you are consulted, and basically you have to tell them what to do. In that case, you have control over that child, and if you are able to back it up with documentary evidence, and sometimes in our conversations, it does help. So for example, if Lawyer Darkon, I have a child in Ghana, I'm coming to join my wife in the UK, and I'm in the process of applying for the visa. I will not wait until I'm in the UK before I start doing paperwork for my children, knowing that at some point I will go for my children. So what I would then do is to have my mother, sit down with my mother, talk to my mother. If she agrees to look after my children for me, we will go and see maybe a lawyer, and the lawyer will draft an agreement for us. You know, or your mother and both of you will swear an affidavit that I, Kwejo Badabone of 22 Ashtown Road, near post office, I make the following declaration: that I was born on 21st of December 1999 of house number KO82, KO80, KO81. I am planning of joining my wife in the United Kingdom shortly. My mother has agreed to provide day-to-day care to my children, Akwesi Besia, Yauponkonte, Kofi Chinto, on my behalf, and that she will provide day-to-day care according to my instructions and directions until I am well settled in the UK, or until such time that I decide to bring my children to join me in the UK, or until such time that she is no longer able to provide that day-to-day care. And I will make sure that my mother will also do similar affidavit to say that Mimi Mami, FM Mami Ajiban. Majia to Muse Meshe and Kureyi Amami Bay because Oko UK. Na Majia to Muse and Kradi Shemu Yeno. And ya me pe ana me be make decisions and answer me de be hwe omo. Na emom me hwe omo de be ye bia no meje instructions, any directions. Ewo me bani wo se oko UK a. Se de ya dachi bi no so be for ma obesi amba be for wo. Ti before so be free Ghana be ba no no edika yes a document that date was so bibia was so. And 4 years time se wo kofa abana de sa de ne kan ho a. We obi accuse you say o kwakofa oba benti no ahye da akoye saade no enye fake enye self-serving document enti eye very 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 important ssa name no ye be ato ho no and nothing at home office when they are making decisions, these are the things that they look at. And to say if you are not legally trained, how do you know this? It's yenye careful in am so mo kasa bebrebe no omunyai kakra na ade ne nya wodwuma wanhwe yi na omobi akwa to de yento na afi home office wo atene kwakwa afi na akoye ensempi na nakose jankroma the first ya chiacha baby awo bia there also be who supports the child financially. Why sika nya de hwe no most of the time no wa we parent article mu ano wo sika wo de ko anya de hwe nkra no na ade ba ko meka no sade we ho dinamini bi enye bone na sebe bant member for ne kan asem o se obi sika e should be bottom na se one spend do sika obi so be de nya bi a hye bi bottom emre pi no aya na ebi mo fi sebe omodo mani atiama to the point say sika bia o pese de nsaso but ono de ne de enko sika bia o pese ba ne nsem but ono de on pese ne sika beko enti sebe money transfer empo or the befa official channel na wenya evidence say medisika we ko empo no on person be sa ade no ade nti a oh me dey money transfer you beti me commission enti commission no be save commission no afi echire ube gina ho ka che lawyer say oh dey bia udisika ko no ka say where is evidence no any evidence na ma blame yourself because in economics we call it the opportunity cost. The opportunity cost of saving your commission fee is your inability to provide evidence to evidence the money that you sent to Ghana when it comes to the application of your child. And therefore, suddenly we are saying here, sebe a come do say when you for some unity. A year dear, I did somebody did at one time. And no, so wouldn't him say I was so discover money transfer. I wouldn't so be your receipt and dacha dance DNT. What do you evidence? Now what's now? Emma Obika Cho say, oh, to skegu. Menko se usika. And untino on the mobile or Ghana. Manini in the cities. Now on 5 pounds of mawa sa arrangement them for 4 years. Say a true evidence here. Unya evidence. A baby case. A weekend case which we refuse soon. And not dear, each and every individual for themselves. We can only advise. We cannot force people to do what they don't want to do. Nemo, you say, enquire, I chain, enquire chain, adia, efe, yedisika, ana eyo. Se opese oba, eba wasumpiema, enye, edu babia, I was said you, uyiska, ede yadie, nesoban for so mam. The Tosubium, who takes the decision about the child's upbringing. And no medical account asem dada, school obeko, baby obetena, hospital obeko, GP obeko, why nation? All this, you, the sponsoring parent, have to prove, say, owner will make those decisions. The degree of contact between the parent and the child. I was able to prove, say, Obano, what do you know? Contact when ne kasa oni ne di nkomo ne sukua woko de oye ni nyina no audio no they haven't got time to listen to audios enti ye ne text message and say email said the time ne so a obetimi aye de obetimi a print e de aka ho akọ very very important. And what role the other parent and relatives outside the UK have played in the child's care and upbringing, if any. Say the other parent say or continue a play role there. Forget it. Say other people are also playing a role. You need to make it clear that the role now omu play now a limited role, and even that role you dictate it. You make all the decisions concerning the child's life. Very very important. And the best me I can say, you're very careful. Yenti min kaso bia kofa ne baba enti simple enti so bi de say ya e wo se oso de yesa enya sa na etie enti no yemfa ntu yekotitwem yi maame ofre ye ana na ni abre ne ho wo ye na dwene se emra kro bebu so ama ne baba no mesro pi enye justice and law solicitors ye de mra na ye adwuma esi edi mmara so enti se wonfa emra enye adwuma de a na kyese eho na no ewo se yetwe ho because empanifo ne kan se patapa pieto enye patapa your friend is say patapa pieto we yesi de emra ana ede evro enti no aya yenye careful ewo sa na ema ne ho because as a lawyer obejira when you catch me say I'm going to break the law and no dey mintimi enye dey mintimi emwa to mystery p aya yenye careful in those things. The two, an update. A Syrian refugee loses high court bid to get appointment fee refunded. Said any situation or your application I also call on home office depending on the type of application why. Now we Syrian refugee were completely 5 years or kakoji indefinite. Now your application if you so cobon in sano. But for some reason, he went for a paid service and sana yebono. A paid service. Now, a call for paid service and later also pay refund. He doesn't understand why he had to pay. And you're unfair. And so on and so forth. The case went before the court, the High Court, and the High Court concluded that he cannot get his money back. You paid for the service was given. What is your problem? Nobody forced you to pay for the paid service. It was your decision. You decided. And for that reason, that is it. The case did not succeed. And you know, say, Uko tria for paid service at Mr. OPE for fingerprinter. Later on, maybe you know, and country say, Wadam for BDA, and the lawyer ekoye, and a woman a refund. Say, Obi airpen lawyer did not tema. Or friend lawyer na madam for BDA. Oh lawyer, me case no unte she. Where na case unte she. I said, madam for BDA, many year need at the same time need the abo. And insult to the lawyer. Cause madam for need the aba. Do you know why madam for need the aba? If you would express service, you have decided to pay for standard service. If you are down for no new ansem, obe krumo the visa nearby. Ebia ye kan wo bekromwa yenim kwankra fa so bai enti that in itself in the mind of this social case worker is a problem for him and therefore he had to go and check their records. Ebia dan for ne so no oba no or the visa ne bai or the application koi or the passport na kan ho ko enti home office can easily identify so or the visa ne bai ba wo dia wo de ko ye ebia sebio ofa enfichire ne bai ebia ofa empoase ne bai ebi so utu fa wiem ne bai. Who knows? Enti na say odo dey compare obi sa na ayana edu ebia na ha agene and sometimes they cheek to lawyers. Enti now say people do not realize that I need to say this today. Because obi ani niti and obi ani ne kwan obae. Na nwanwa say na mo client bi dey bi ofra so na work no. Oh lawyer, me dey mai. Oh enya mai yo, here rade. Da be na me dey beba. Madam for you cry dey ba enra. Wakana me hwedi din na me nka ne hwe ade eche no afre oh lawyer my application o mo fa mrai oh emfa mayo oh madam for me so dey aba de bia wo fra na ka se maya obi dey aba na me hwedi din man ka ne hwe ada de dey aba no ana me am frɛ no ana se me so jawie ene de so dey aba ye rade me da wase ye se de me da me ho to me ene akasa bebrebe okase na mse na so odamfo bi anfo se de aba afi ogiro no osre anam se hwe kese sare case ne bai de bia be free bia no so obi de aba un se nwanwa se na wo de aba ide obi anfre wo enka nche se ne de aba na empenifo se asem be mi jane hosa enti no edru ba bia sa direct comparison ayeye no aya emwaye ankasa enti no aya yinjai Demaka wasem biem me ba be talk about persuasive writing, how to persuade decision makers. We are say a hand time emfa nkosi hwe ana enipa seye emfa nkosi hwe o time emfa nkosi hwe we are say kasade empanimfo se ema aba eye de eto kasade ema die ema aba eto fade se obi ebuafu na ode abufuo ba so gidi na enipa ne ba ya o say oh me am very sorry say asma me kan ye if you felt offended I am sorry o ka sa asemu ya ofise de enipa be ti aye he ni buafu se say ni se nyina be ka ni tiri ebia wa ye bibi anaso wa kan bibi enipa na misinterpreting no ni buafu de ono ba be ko oba ya so I'm really sorry I didn't mean it that way again in permit me as I be it ends right there and we are said this is a skill that I think we all have to try our best that we can and tap into this I'm going to talk about today because it's not only about law, it's about life as well. And it's crucial. It's very, very important. It's about life. In law, we call something advocacy. In Scotland, they say that I'm going to see my advocate. Advocate in England, we say barrister. In certain jurisdictions, they call them advocates. Advocate means advocacy. Someone who sits in court and talk for someone. So they call it advocacy. Then someone may ask, then what about solicitors? Yes, solicitors can play advocacy role in some of the courts. But solicitors' work mainly is based in the office, where the solicitor will do the hard work, the research, putting stuff together, and then pass it to the barrister for the barrister to do the advocacy. So when it comes to talking in court, barristers, one could argue, are the specialists. When it comes to drafting, researching, putting things together, seeing clients, solicitors are specialists in this field. So when you see solicitors and barristers working together sometimes, not because of anything, sometimes the solicitor may be looking for what is best for you. Because, arguably, when it comes to advocacy, on general terms, barristers, one will argue, potentially are better than solicitors in terms of advocacy. Why is that the case? Because it's their specialty. But when it comes to people management, managing expectation, drafting, researching, solicitors tend to be very, very, very good. And you know, obia wo nejuma, obia wo ne level, and obia wo ne dia oye. And you know, yenshamenso. The rules of advocacy and presentation and persuasive writing. Point number 1. You must simplify things wherever possible. Simplify things wherever possible. Simplicity is the key. Why is it important to simplify things? Because do not assume that a person who is going to read what you are writing have time. So if you are using big jargons and the person doesn't understand it, what's going to happen? The person will not be persuaded. So use simple, common English. Make sure that your writing or how you present your case is very, very simple. Make it very, very simple. Don't make it too complicated. It's very, very important. So the first rule, advocacy or persuasive writing, is simplicity. Use a clear, simple, and concise language so that the person can understand you. Number 2, you have to be precise. Precision. Go straight to the point. Don't bend the circle. Don't go around circles. Go straight to the point. I do remember I had a client that went for an interview. And the client was asked a very, very simple question. Then he started dancing around, and dancing around. The interviewer then turned around and said, why are you telling me this? The question that I asked you had nothing to do with what you are telling me. So that became an issue. So it's very, very important that you are precise. Precision is important. Don't paraphrase what you have said. Obi wo honoma or kan sema Now they all can all repeat it, the same thing. Now all kind of different ways. Ebanisana, it becomes boring, and the person will lose track. So a very important. I say you're very precise. Don't misstate facts. Just be straight and be honest and direct and go straight and say whatever needs to be said. So for example, if you are doing an application and on the application form they ask whether you have any family members in Ghana. Sometimes people think if they say they have family members, the application will not succeed because they will say that family members can support you in Ghana. But the reality is, as long as you come from Ghana, you are bound to have a family member in Ghana. So it is important that you have to be precise. Yes, I have family members in Ghana. However, they will be unable or they will be unwilling to support me because they themselves, they are struggling. That is more convincing, that's more precise than actually beating about the bush. Next one. Someone will say, come across and be credible. Don't over-egg the pudding. Don't over-egg the pudding. You will lose credibility if you are deemed to be exaggerating facts. Example. Obi oha enunga ofane kwa. Enunga oi sanke yaria. Anka there are certain people ankombebre. Enunga enyadepa. State your facts as it is. Don't go and exaggerate, embellish, and make anything colorful. It's very, very important. So, for example, your application at home office. A beer. Oko Ghana, I said Oko Ghana. Baby, I'll be that crano, unya baby na. That is a fact. But opesa uma asebne eye hunti. Oso me ko Ghana kra binya baby na am Roberts ba be kume, am Roberts ba be say no sha say can say be break am. And then you begin to embellish it, exaggerate it, over egging it. A banisana, after you lose credibility. After all kind of cry if you say boy. Also the use of case law. Ana me can say, oh ka asema emrema. And yes, what they will pay the one they kind of quack. You have to back it up with law. Into Cromwell, if be judicial precedence, case law. And for example, if you have a argument to be said, my client, you know, Oko Ghana, onya baby na, when your baby are na, the indirect consequence they say, we're a vulnerable person. We're a vulnerable person, if you say ni a bit in your tunnel. And Tiabanisana, I have to look for a case law about Obia or no say any code in crew. Or you're vulnerable. Because of vulnerability, you know, ebi krobia kochina rape na naso bi achikochina ekuno. Ebanisana, with me you see that as president, the case law to fight your case. Now if you want pay criminal statistics from that country, now they are backing it up. Now our case now is strong. Obia onko law school da na so obia only legal knowledge. Ufi say or no say or advice wa obit me anchor sa de we ontimi ukuti na no an hwe na kwase we case. Very, very important. The Atosibia, don't assume that the caseworker knows what you are talking about. And for example, sometimes people start by saying that we act for the above named client in respect to his immigration case. You may be aware of his immigration status and also his immigration history, and therefore I do not intend to repeat it here. By the way, he's applying for further leave to remain, and I enclose a copy of the following for your agent attention. For me, it's ridiculous. You cannot do that. What if the caseworker is new to their place? The caseworker hasn't got time to be going through the backlog, to be looking at your history. why don't you make it easy for the caseworker by setting out a summary of the person's immigration history? So the best way to do this is that we ask for Mr. James Jacob in respect to his application for further leave to remain after having completed 2.5 years under Appendix FM of the immigration rules on the basis of his family life with his daughter, Jacob Jankroma, as an example, who is a British national. By giving this summary, the person knows straight away that the previous application was granted under the immigration rules, blah, 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 blah. This is the basis of the extension. And then you go on and give a bit of a summary. You know, we submit that our client entered the UK with a visitor's visa on when he entered the UK, he regrettably overstayed his visa. However, during his stay, he met, you know, Josephine Omabu at, you know, Stockwell, and they became friends. During their friendship, they formed a relationship, and as a result, their daughter, Jacob, was born. On that basis, he applied on the basis of having a private and family life with a daughter, which was granted from 12th of January 2021 until 12th of January 2024. He's about to complete it, and therefore, on that basis, he's applying for extension or further leave to remain. And then you go on to say that his circumstances remains the same since the last grant, in the sense that he's still involved in his child's life. He accompanied the child to GP. I attached GP letter. Accompanied the child to school letter. Accompanied the child to church letter, and so on and so forth. If you are able to do that, then of course, it also helps big time for the caseworker to speed up their application and speed up the case for you. In fact, caseworkers, when you make their life easy, it also makes your life easy as well. What you might also not do in your persuasive writings is to ask what we call rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions are very, very annoying. Personally, I find it a bit condescending, a bit undermining, and a bit rude. You know, when people are asking questions that they know answers for, or they try to make you come up with the answer. It's very, very annoying. They know the answer, and they are putting it to you in such a way that they want you to think and basically agree with what they are agreeing to, but indirectly, it makes you think outside the box. You know, so it's very, very important that we don't do that. So, for example, when we say, if my client is returned to Ghana, my client is going to face hardships, blah, 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 blah. And I believe that you agree with me on this point. If you don't agree with me, what do you think will happen to my client? It's gibberish. It's ridiculous. It's not the way to win someone over. Consider the other side of the argument. It's very, very important. Home Office are not stupid. The court is not stupid. Everything that you say, you have to realize that someone can also counter that. So it's very, very important that when you are writing, you also acknowledge, you know, the weakness in your case, and then counter it. So, for example, if my child, if my client, for example, has been in the UK for say 10 years and is facing removal, I will argue that yes, it is the fact that my child has spent, my client has spent some time in Ghana. However, he spent 10 years in the UK. 10 years is more than half of her life, and therefore she treats the UK as his or her main home, and therefore, since he spent more than half of his life in the UK, that should take the balance in his or her favor. It's important. 2. Also, the use of categorization and analogy is very, very, very important. Law as we know, it works in particular circumstances, and therefore you cannot think that it's one cut for all. It doesn't work like that. So it's very, very important. Each case is treated on its own merit. You cannot say, why is it that this person was successful and I am not successful? A case may look similar, but it can never be the same. It's very, very important. And also, it's important that when you get a report, for example, you look at the report, observe the report, take what is important from the report to support your case in your persuasive writings, and argue about any pitfall or any challenge to the report. It's very, very important. So you can also do that to cement your case. And the last point is manage your client's expectation. Sometimes clients will come to us with ridiculous expectation. Sometimes they ask you, lawyer, some yes I do we are enkofe bibiama. Anybody nimpase do kwakoye no eba kofe bibiaba. Utune for someone, you know, he doesn't want to listen because someone or person but he's looking for a scapegoat. Oh lawyer no kasem for bibiama bibiba na be your fault, not their show. Very, very important. Say we all have to be aware of this. As a one kasano, you need to do what is right for you and manage your own expectations. And as lawyers, we also have to manage your expectations for you. Let's take this break, and when we come back, we do the private live, and then I will activate the telephone lines. So let's just take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we continue.
Metaphor, we yamanka, wow, Metaphor, we yamanka, wow, dying papa be our Ghana now. And so, and now no cry, Asantino, who was saying, I will bet my Missika, say, see what you mount. It's in a paradise city. Yet did this beautiful ultramodern city, Abatema, Community 25, Whooper Standard, Executive, Semi-Executive quality buildings. Here in Paradise City, here over now, it's as if you have butcher Abagana. Your payment terms, no so. And a phone book call, open a self-finance, and as a monkey. Paradise City, how are your telephone numbers, you UK, +447 908 475 802. Paradise City. Jumapa Magana Yefe Ankasa. Party na last over farm ko e abaya be ko shia nsa abaya se nya ni grata ma no eh and again nti o na we shia be ma party asi ya so nya grata ma o jam am so bi bopu ni wa me de me no ya we di na eh wasa bo bi mo e be fi kese fu kote to ko ni e ja wo eh ko unye eh da unye na bopu me ya ko ma tu
Nada majira party abom na dada na mpese mbebi.
What you akuma nsu nyina ye fi ho because if you get for
na ada moti ha mo ho ntwa na moda so tefi hai.
Na you only me maka nchira o e na wumi aso okoye data ma obi o me dem nso oyo okekura.
Yo mesremo pi ewi ase de obi ene ho chief asem pakodo ene memu nso de obi ene ho betena ho ama ta bada ho so owon kame ene ntimi srew se bank ata asem kwan de a na se wuni krata wo krom ha na wuhia nkrata mesrew adwuma ba ko pe ena mekan for amount eno ane justice and law solicitors lawyer ye fe no openda ku David eho ena owo never immigration sem landlords and tenants family legal documents, civil litigation, wills, and employment issues. Nina papa odi hu djuma e wo ho. Na mesrɛ mo maba beto mu ne American kyerɛ mu. Momfa mo maboso mu tom.
Na wo kan papa otimi akontokɔ nyina ma yɛ sɛ bia obi aju sika zo on beso betia no so otimi yɛ ko adwum.
Ni nyina lawyer benda akudi ni nyina hu djuma. Na ne ayɛ mani kan awɔ ho ne sɛ wɔyɛ ntɔkɔtwan sɛ ba mmara mu dia. So wɔgye wasɛm ne sɛ onwie ya papa onyini nsa emfraseɛ.
Pacho hefa na ase na so wo no.
Yo, me pacho obehunu Justice and Law for Award Unit 35, Eurolink Business Center, 49 Efra Road, Brixton, SW2 1BZ. Now the telephone number any 020-7738-5841. And I say the mobile number 075-3896-9589. Miss Snow, and then they said the migration for senior blue Krumhano. Share and one travel armor and for now quiet. It's a free no could ye. Found cat as Equadine Justice and Law Solicitors.
Hey, Ojam, also since you want the way you are on idea, see, I feel my idea about coffee.
And your shame, Penisi, who finance Alpha Yinchi. And I'm saying, lawyer Benda, who are part on horses, or what young Ghana 43 Winti. Maybe there be a free and a Padubako, Ecobo, a Riadonco, lawyer Exna, a Fidia, a Fire Life Radio, so XS, Mem Ewo, into a free memory that a Benny Memeda Cabian for Fidia Fire Life Radio, not see a lawyer and a Emremun Sem Ewo. Tifina Radio, Justice and Law Solicitors,
Amway a company kɛseɛ a ɔmode nneɛma pa abɛdwa so ɔmo nneɛma ni bi yɛ health product, beauty product, and a home care product. Ɔmo health product ni bi yɛ vitamins anaasɛ food supplements. Beauty product ni bi nso ɔmo wɔ enku anaasɛ mena ɛbɛma wo honam atɔ so already atɔ so sɛ nome. Ɔmo home care product ni bi samena yedi huhuru nkukuo mu nia yedi twitwi adwaye en emu de hede wo pe bia no ubetimi enya bi ewo Amway se upe emu nsematie ana se upe bi ato a yesre se frɛ owura Emmanuel Eshon ewo 075 076 30487 075 076 30487. And also so say abelfo amansanten tan kese no so ubekuru o machira kwan ewo www.amway.co.uk/user/emish na ofre owura Emmanuel Eshon and also so say wutuns ansa eko amansanten tan kese no so wo website no so a omoni ubedi nkita ho fefefe enu na owura Emmanuel Eshon beka cho say ende na online Amway a company kɛseɛ a omode nneɛma pa.
Yes, Amway for so na yete omon kano yanko the last topic so which is the private life. Now private life if you like a new law and as a new rule that has been incorporated into the immigration law based on paragraph 276 ADE of the immigration rules, which is now defunct. This new private law rules came into force on 20th of June 2022. So that is how it is. Basically what it is that it has created maybe a better opportunity for people who have been living here and wants to make an application for leave to remain on their private life. Who will qualify for private life? Let's have a look at the number of different categories of people that can qualify. Because of time factor, I'm not going to go on too long in this area, but if you feel or you think you fall within this category that I'm going to be talking about, don't call the office. Call the office and book an appointment, because what we have noticed is that some people are just wasting our time. They will call the office and they want you to stand on the phone for 30 minutes and waste your time. They have no intention of coming to you. Their intention is to be smart with you, call the office, waste your time, get the information, and bye-bye. God bless you. But when they don't get it that way, they call you evil. But at the end of the day, we all have to chop small. Why? Okay, you na jiska na so esu yamwa na se okubi am na yamwa na wetua small na ye nyina yetimi akoye nim. Enti sana etie. Omo timi yusu omo adwene a omo de abiti ye no. Omo de omo afo mo ho adi. Na embom ye njeja ye ho biem. Your court na se ofra o the secretary na bekasa. Obebusa questions. Opa obebuku appointment ama no aba na yaye wodwuma ama. Na obi anya na so ndwie. Na yesu enya bi atafre. Nembom we so be play smarter any offer kra na enya de abinyaye cause offer to so one offer to so two na you hu se we play games the be answer be block number no na you move on because at the end of the day no obi opese ye adwuma ma no or the beba or no e me waste say nipa ne time na e bi atame say the say nipa ne adwuma no now they free now wo hire adwene for no reason, you know. In the past no you tolerate sane man, but this is 2022. You tolerate sane man biem obi friend no serious. We have to move on to people who are serious, who actually need our help, so that we can help those people. Because if you are now genuine clients, you know, they begin to complain, which is also not good for our business. And for that reason, you know, see, I am very, very strict. So if I'm free, that's the secretary. If I say when you message one cancel cry, very hardly would we tolerate it, especially if the person is not our client. The danger about this approach is also that maybe you'll be free or so the business, bro. So friend, if you mean well, you want to bring us business, and it'll be dobe Fabiano, and in Casa Casachi Nipana, the entire offer catching Nipano, say a potential business there, we will call back and get the business. But if I'm going to waste your time, we would rather use that time to, you know, to work for people who have paid us to work for them, rather than someone who just want to come and waste our time. And in effect, you know, now we have the private rule, private life rule, and you know, maybe bobo oma omutimi qualify under the private life rule. So obi edi infie less than 18. That's what check room for 7 years or more. With me, I application for permissions to stay for limited leave to remain. Sasona young adults who meet the half-life test, they can also apply for permission to stay. What does this mean? This means those who are aged between 18 and 24, if they have spent half of their life in the UK, they also eligible to apply under private life. 20 years continuous residency in the UK. You can apply for stay in the United Kingdom upon submission of an application on the basis of your 20 years. Less than 20 years continuous residency in the UK and meeting the very significant obstacles to reintegration test. You can also make an application for leave to remain. On the basis that even though you have been living in the UK for less than 20 years, but there are very significant obstacles to your integration in your home country. And also with me application on that basis. Will be able to say, no, can I give an example? Yes, I can give an example. Let's say you are living in the UK for less than 20 years. Abia, your father say, "Oh, you're gay," and I saw you're lesbian. Argument have been said, if you go to Ghana, you will not be able to integrate into the community or the society because of the way gays and lesbians are treated in Ghana, as an example. So you can use that to make an application if you are here for less than 20 years. Application for settlement by a child who was not born in the UK, who has or last had permissions to stay on a private life route as a child and who has lived in the UK for a continuous period of 5 years with permission granted pursuant to permitted routes, which counts towards the qualifying period. Once again, you can make an application if you're a dependent child. Application for settlement by young adults who were born in the UK. So if a child is born in the UK and the child doesn't have papers, a child is someone under the age of 18, the child will be able to apply for further leave to remain on a 5-year route, where she be granted 16 months visa rather than 30 months visa. And after that, they can then apply for indefinite leave to remain. Also, application for settlement by applicant who has been born in the UK is able to provide food. Okay. Yes, if you're born in the UK, you are able to provide full birth certificate and has lived continuously in the UK since their birth for at least 7 years at the date of application. And it is not reasonable to expect the applicant to leave the UK. Once again, you can make application on that. And the last bit is permissions to stay where there will be a breach of Article 8 right, Human Rights Act. So that is also another route which is available for applicants. Okay. So these are the potential, candidates for those who can make application under private life. So because of time factor, it's now 12:45. We are going to activate the telephone lines and we take phone calls until 1 o'clock. And then we bring the program to an end. Once again, we're playing this tune from Thomas Frimpong. Si nipa ya dia osa ayeyi. Na yemfa na mu nyina amase for your continued support and for your prayers.
Have you been conned into
and for all your support, really. It's been a very interesting journey since I started Justice and Law Solicitors. You've been good to me. God has been good to me, and I thank you all for your continued support. We do appreciate that. And to see a bonus way so no no we appreciate you all. You see edipaya there or say idea or say ayi. Yes, the lines are now activated. The number is 07538 969 This is the time. Yes. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Pachodin the Senaka Free.
A British accent.
Hey, Madam Scotland. What's her neighbor? British accent, Muntier, over you, Brofune. British accent in Odemba, Bikini Procasa, Brofo. Lawyer, don't start. Mube kuyas yemu.
Oh, yeah, with that. First of all, that's the dream.
Yeah, father say me nyame.
That's it.
Yeah.
The tiamity so big one pam. It could be a board, it could be a donor, a special delivery. That's it. Now, make see envelope now, and who make card. Hey, you oh, what? Samin just thank you so much.
No problem.
That's the brave. That's it. I mean, so. Mahau be brave. Hey, Mahau. Oh, yes, Christo, Mahau be brave. I hope he, but it didn't so when you have a tray. Among a baby, and I didn't they was a man in your tray, Baba. A baby, I may lose hope, honestly. To be honest with you, may lose hope.
Yeah.
But see your encouragement and your support. And when I send and cry, I really want to say thank you so much. Oliver Trace, I'm asking for more. Now we can Ghana passports. We have Ghana passport, and I said, or you can need to get a Ghana passport. So now the person you're processing because my Ghana passport new. And if you can see for so and from by one day your money by an income. It's in the says me will photocopies or what do I do? Can I start with it or should I have to wait?
You can start with it because these days you don't say to get appointment to do your fingerprint at the Ghana Commission is also another headache, another problem. So the sooner you do it, I think the better. In a worst case scenario, they will simply get you to do an affidavit to confirm, say your passport is lost or missing, whatever, and then that will help you to speed up the process. So, kasa wo train a bit more.
Okay.
To make us
sorry for interrupting. Make me I ask for affidavit. Now, my dear, they are called Ghana High Commissioner for your passport.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
Because some of us likely say if you're my passport, and a passport more of a class, so I say who I can. So, and it's going to value assuming for association.
Yeah. Okay. But all side now we can we announcement. So what is it?
Basically, in everything that you do, they're always gonna have a provision for emergencies. Okay. And see, Obu Abun's obey in a case now APR when to me and put forward any emergency reason BNT if your person in 10 manner. APR do the beko, you have a very good reason tia opese in 10 man. O dear beko na bantem, any planet was in Tiasi. Ye na your passport na the abe jabi. In telling in age now, one no send me said obisi akasa. I can't was sorry enough. So it's very important. Yeah. And to the free chambers, we will go details.
All right. Okay. All right.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And that day what I bet that you say to me for now to make when you hide it, you speak to me straight away, directly to the phone. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right then. Bye-bye.
So fra number no store na 07538969589. Also ubetimi afre ababa bisi so. Enti atwa mo calls. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, lawyer.
Hi, good afternoon to you. What's your name and where you calling from?
I am Pacho, met with the VDS Kakra.
What if I didn't say Bujin Biani?
Pacho, my friend, I think said 3 weeks ago now here. Program not regarding my the boys na me because I was a twin boys omo kwa kwaji omo British passport for interview so bekaya
me refika kra
and omo me advice you pray na nyame adom no man Saturday no and penny no omo interview no but nipa na onya no man interview no is so nice busa no surroundings baby I go school anyway enti we interview no catch any so omo 2 weeks no one decide na kaka ne de na was Monday gone yeah and lady no interview no was so difficult na questions I will busa once na say we program now can be about say nipa ni bi interview bi o ni asem na o interview ba so bebusa I know I'm person me can be dey a support because say your community no say ntimi educate your ho sa na ma no ho a normally no say ko na ko tana say no wo mo kasa for any interview bi ana because of our point no yeah you mistake na esesenka na Monday na twemu ba na o senka oye no ofie na o ses form ni nti omne NHS defense HSBC a program
yeah
eti na omu eni fi nti na me worry say also ofie na ja tips bi o say de mano yet me de amano but the moment almost starting interview, beside say, on spelling it, all those things, and after beside say, do baby, I and I know so, David. I feel was my best started like aggression pen, no. If I papa, ne, or Tambena Papilla, ne, British passport, no, it's in a better man. When you're any young woman, na, papa naturalization. Tambe no unyai and also one de unyai no na edi ni 1 month ni wo me na me brother na was a question said my men so busana questions what you say is unnecessary questions na my men busana but what calm yourself down said the my men be busani bia ono so be man o fe fa no answer ti o say o mu wie na fe na my men be can say you're a very, very intelligent boy, and keep it up the way your calmness and everything. Eti omuka se wie no a o ma ne baba wie no emre odu fie no be 7 ho no omode email ba so mo approve. Eti o mo approve no Wednesday morning you ha no omode ni buy omo passport no e buy na the term person mechanical home say community no yetimi babetio na enema bi wo ho no mo a otimi echiemu because 3 weeks ago me no kasaye no o ma me futu bebre e o lai so e ma meet me de ma wo mu e ma panyin ne de na papa na good ba kaka ne de da otimi so ma me ni so aggressive say o person wo ye bibi na kse bi anka akora wanya botre na ko akoka bibi na fe o so ene me na ko interview bi because no only word against kaka ne word intino me person me ka se say etimi etie ensema oni ye kanyina na etu ho anamo na etimi ja ye ho se de bia ye lawyers wo ye fie na de bia ye niema no because ye ka se ye niema na kromu hananya dia ebe ye okay say etimi nya professional so mo ye train on that field and to say we say no yet me about that kind of advice because advice now the man that day no just say a boy be pray me know mo tna go through niema say mo be go through na me I was so worried because me ni lady be ordinary there ni boy mo nyina ko the same school ordinary there ko to 50 October but think say me do ka say yemfa akra na passport man and until I can university also work on September, otimi go Omasa Geno, there you cross your friend is the best.
Yeah.
As I can one also go moon funny day and fan brainy.
Nice.
It's made a sipa and Yamisha will do my way and Yamawa long life. Now to me, our home Ghana community.
Amen.
That's it.
Yes, so yeah, Davasi P. Yeah, Davasi. And you knew the Boma, why we should have now. Number now is 07538 969 589. Yes, you're about 2 minutes back near the Juani Banavia. Also, bet me a friend. Obi Niba, Obi Busa, Obi Chra, Odimanu Busa, not Obi so actual. Yes, 07538 969 589. Mamma Fry, it's me, I'm fellow. Move it to me, friend. And yes, I remember when we is a seer. Yes. Yes, so being an emio. Hello. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Robbie.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you. Now, to say, with the live on Facebook, who question be my and I say a off record. Be na episode with Sammy.
Me know how to trade it.
And before so, we can't how me do number more be so on for why.
Me patch you.
To throw one wash na mommy.
Me patch you.
And to how the uncle so.
Me how you say, I don't put in a lack of fat, me a figure nada. Now, I can find now, I can find it by February. After a man over 6 months. Now, when I can come up to a bad lesson, no more coffee, no more coffee to case, no more Ghana. And my Ghana ship only to see a thing there because it's a Ghana, the only name you will feel me, only them and his sister, and that and I'll call you a Ghana soup. I bet you my fever. Now, bound to me, none of freedom. Into a castle, young Congo, I die out here. Now, then, women, and yet I am now. It's a man before I'm a Bermano, my sister, and your Ghana news here. Now, when I see, I September of a family in our coffee. Now, I will go for a case. And I'm a maker say, so I come here and I can. And say, maybe, sir, the future crack. I met him the man.
As some way, dear, or see young coffee and young settle case, you know. Now, then I stop them from settling the case here. And then, and I bear for a fidianti, Sabe, semping phone numbers of Mubema. Mube to me, I a WhatsApp video call. Now, penny be a so agent, now my cancer, and that's way trap. Because me, and I catch a message in Kufia. Our brand minimum say, and to quite apostle. Minimum say, Usuntina me wa hanamo. Na me say me Kufia, any menko, because Kufia, no, not just say, ABI, you are kissing goodbye to a brooch, you don't know. And you know, a bit risky for Obano. Situation be anywhere a bar there is no solution. Every problem has got solution. And I think it's they need to sit down and possibly, talk things through. And penny for Krumwa, beer, to too many now. More friend penny for me, but them fees are more power. But me, the moon is if you have a problem with someone, the best way to solve it is you and the person. You sit down and you talk and you find a compromise. Because all chink of the way I call I had the man in the books of the soldier. And just a soldier and I come to speak. Shanka, or to international war. You know what they do now, don't be people on my advice here. Now they are man. Make us any advice here, who seeking was seeking in them, men train and once. And to be fair, the sooner the better. Because the woman say a journey so men train and my journey may wildfire. And some like I say, Baby Dumino. Who science and no. Now what we for one now what you animal. Said ya Bibi or man. Ubetinya not inquire too late. That is what I will say. And see the sooner the better. Me and train Emane and Jigong and send you seek advice. And tentama not just waiting me at your mom. Son of me, Hono. Oh, okay. Why? And that's it. Bye for now. All right. Yes, that's here for. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Nampacho did the same like as a friend.
I told my man what money. That's a free also.
Positive, mommy. Also, did I see a woman?
Positive, I no type. I want to white now, we shall be not to say. What me I take a class, now they are not on sober.
The sa.
Aye, now me more about to say. What I'm a council degree, yet I was 50 now, lawyer. I send back one catch it and say. Once you ain't done a phone, said you, it didn't sorry come, enemy pass all come. And then I am a hard candidate, please. If you are near my Betty Sukkers, here, a hard candidate. Now, be over there and also become dear. Oh, sorry, I'm not just a pick every
David.
Now, sorry, so Yamian here, pa, and dancing. And it please, very, very important. So I say, it depends on no man because he has a share, and then a mayor share.
David.
So, and Timo, but remember about so. Now, later nursery, no matter what they are told on the 3rd of September, they never back.
That's right.
Yes, we follow pa, Timo. And why you do so? I can't answer it. Many years you want to. Why and come up,
yeah.
and I hope, say, nursery mothers, any managers in I'm over ready. I will good my pay. Summertime because I said the head in pa lawyer.
Yes.
And easy. Until another over the arrest no more back. And to be more about so much, say, why are the pa? They make the passer. What me arrest a car. Now, so over Sako, I arrest a car, so one time before. If there's winter, never bounce.
Yeah.
Medawa City.
Yeah, that was it.
And in a man can make cheer when you know why.
What's it?
Without city lawyer.
Yes, yeah, that was it. Yeah, the money now must so. Some say my daji now, but the etie dear, the abremo and ne ewo FDA so. Yankopon ya aduma next week e beside ehia biem. Ye de Yankopon eja wo bia yemre naso enti e wo se yeko. Na enipa ya de a osayi ye de munyina wase momfa nyomi so entwa mona ase. Ayeyi ese munyina.